Don't forget to stick around through the end of the video for information on our Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway. Son of a Crimson Guard, apprentice to the most elite ninja that G.I. Joe has ever seen, tattooed member of the Rashikage clan. Where we may not have been introduced to Sean Collins during the original G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero animated series, we did get the gift of several appearances throughout the years and series and comics. Though this extremely layered character may have had an equally challenging and complicated past, Hasbro and Amazon have teamed up to make owning a 6-inch scale version of him extraordinarily simple. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and remember, I'll be posting new videos at least twice a week, if not more, and if that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Now in this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro 6-inch scale G.I. Joe Classified Series Kamakura. Hey everyone, welcome back, and here we have it, our guy in the SIOC, but it's on the other side, and it's got the shipping label. Nobody needs to know where I live, you just don't want to know that. But this is our guy. I've only opened the box, but not pulled out the actual figure box. So there he is, our guy Kamakura. Look at that fun artwork. So around here on the back, we've got our renderings of the figure, right, with all the accessories that he comes with. My goodness. There are our rankings and specialties, right, the skills. And we should have it, yeah, we've got it over here. This is number 61. Isn't it amazing how these numbers bounce around so much? But yeah, very cool. Same rankings and skill sets over there. And look at that. What an intimidating stance with all these Cobra officers who unfortunately are having a very, very bad day. And then we curve around here, and this is such a silly one, but still so cool. Right up the foot, right to the face. And he's looking at you like, man, that hurts. And these guys are just flying through the air. But it just shows you he is not someone to be messed with. All right, so let's take a look at old Kamakura. There's our top and bottom, and let's bust into this guy. So as usual, we're gonna go from the bottom. Let's carefully cut it with my new pen knife. And there we go. Let's open this up. See what we got. Okay, so there we go. Our typical dual pack thing, right? So our cardboard that's gonna have most likely just Kamakura in it. We'll set him to the side real quick because we want to also take a look at this weapons cache, the little locker, and that is an empty box. So we've got everything out of there. First and foremost, let's see what we've got in this little foot locker for old Kamakura, right? So what we're used to seeing that comes with a Joe, right? Got the number on it, the name, and then the little dial code. I like the this way up arrows, because you definitely don't want these plastic accessories sitting upside down at any point, right? It could cause horrible damage. Okay, so let's open it up, and I'm telling you, one day I love the person that'll invent a box that doesn't happen to so easily. All right, so that's everything out of it. There's our pamphlet, and we've got an empty Foot Locker box. We're gonna move that out of the way. And what we have, our checklist, 2 cardboard pieces, 1 bag. Okay, so first let's start with our bag and see what we have in here. This is one of the snack bags, so we get to open it up like a bag of chips. Wouldn't mind if it was a bag of salt and vinegar chips, personally. All right, and we dump it out, and we've got what we've got in there. We've got a hood, all right, so check. Another head, right, so hoodless head. We have what looks like something that's going to mount maybe to his back. Yeah, okay, so probably for the swords, right? A little tiny thin backpack thing, looks like a shield. We have a handgun, a knife, and 2 pieces of clothing, right? So a little sash and a tie thing. So let's take a closer look at these in the bag here, right? So first and foremost, we've got our weaponry. So here is the handgun that came with it. Let's switch to manual so we can get this focus a little bit better. Okay, there's our handgun. Really neat looking, right? So has a little bit of an extender on it, right? So he's not here to mess around. And an extended magazine. So yeah, he's definitely set for battle. Interesting to see this little casting circle on the front there. Not a common thing that you see. Or, one thing that I was kind of surprised to see from a classified series. I wouldn't expect to see something like that. There was such a blaring, obvious thing that was not part of the intended sculpt of this weapon. But it is sculpted very well, and it's one of those that's in that cast black plastic. So I do have to say, Well, it would be nice if it had a little bit of a wash on it. And speaking of, the knife that comes with him, a very intimidating weapon right there. So again, cast in that black plastic, pretty good detail right on the blade. We've got the serration, and the blade truly does look like it's kind of sharp, if you ask me. The handle, not so bad, right? So we've got two little rivets on it on each side, holding it in place. And that would be neat if the handle was maybe a different color, or we saw something that just kind of brought out a little bit of detail or texture, even if it needed to be the same color. And here is this little piece that comes with him. It looks like it's maybe part of his, obviously part of his costume, his wardrobe, and it's going to stick onto something, and we'll be able to see what that is. Maybe just a tie somewhere, a belt or something like that, right? Okay. And here is what I'm assuming is to essentially be the hood in a downward position, right? So we have the hood in the upward position, both cast of this rubbery gray plastic in that color. So the hood definitely looks like it is a head removal piece, right? Because that's a pretty small opening and a bigger opening to help reach in there and get the head back on. But there we go. Very neat to have both options, right? They both have come to that point right there. And you can make it where he had no hood, or he's just got his hood down because he just needs a moment, right? He's not in full attack mode, so he can take that down. Here is our backpack type thing. Very, very thin, right? But it looks like it's just there to hold a couple swords, right? So very cool. Cast in a harder gray plastic, but a matching gray practically to that hood. And I do like the texture on that hood. I forgot to mention that. The texture with the little lines on it, very neat. And you can see the ripples of it and kind of where it looks like the drawstring is kind of pulling on it. It's just very neat. Little extra added detail that was not necessary. And here is our head, our grumpy hoodless head. Very well done, right? I am in awe with the real, I say realism of faces. You know, this is not any actual person or an actor that is copying, but it is a very realistic looking face compared to some of the older action figures and toys that were out there in the world. The hair sculpted very well. It's in a good red color. I like it. Very evenly painted. I don't really see any odd paint errors or anything like that. So the eyebrow a little bit right there. The brown kind of stopped short. And it remained that flesh tone. I would think it was not an issue, but it is sculpted in there, the eyebrow going all the way, and the brown just kind of missed it, and then this one does make it all the way over. So that is the main thing that kind of stands out right there. Missed on the eyebrow just a little bit. All right, now let's check out our cardboard pieces. Here's cardboard number 1, all right? So 2 pieces of tape just kind of holding that. I like to try and be kind of careful and not go too far down in there. Okay, so we've got, let's switch it and bring it back. So we've got 2 swords and good old Uzi, right? With Kamakura and with Snake Eyes, this is, I think, the one where I will go ahead and say what it's a copy of, or what this weapon's supposed to look like, because it's just such a stereotypical Arashikage thing, right? So Kamakura's got one, Snake Eyes has got one. It's their standard issue, I guess. But there we go, casting that black plastic. Could have used a little bit of extra detail, maybe a little bit of paint on it to kind of make some of those sculpted things pop. I wouldn't be me if I didn't say it. So there we go. But I mean, all in all, the detail on it is fantastic. It is really well done. These are all the things that we wanted to see with the older figures back in the day, and here they are, and I could not be happier to see it. All right, so 2 swords. They almost seem like they would be the same, but they are not, right? So different length, different handles. Let's get to manual here so we can bring these in closer. Right, so the different total length, right? The actual blade looks like it's basically the same length, but the handles are a different length. See, this one's a little bit shorter, and then even the sculpting on the handles themselves is a little bit different. See, we've got the knurling or the grip, whatever you want to call it. This one is the same all the way down, but this one has a different pattern. So we got a grip right about in the middle, where this one's ready to grip really anywhere. So let's back it up just a little bit. And then we've got the green stripe here at the top of the top one. And you can even see that the detail of the blade is even different, right? This one's a little bit more plain, a little less of that serration to it, where it's a lot more pronounced all the way up. So very neat, right? It could have easily just been 2 of the same, but it is not. They went ahead and made them a little bit different. And I think that's great, personally. All right, now this one is interesting, right? So these are, we've got 2 pieces right here and then 2 pieces together. Kind of looks like, it almost looks like it's them separate and them put together. So I'm gonna be very careful cutting this tape because I don't wanna cut anything that is not intended. So let's get that, and we'll get that. Maybe that'll be enough. Where this longer one, I can't, yep, the longer one came out just fine. And let's try these shorter ones. So we've got that one, and will this one come? Yes, it will. Okay, so let's take a look at these shorter ones. We'll bring them close because we've got the focus set for that. Identical, right? So these look like they are the same thing cast when you just got 2 of them. So you can have 1 for each hand. So he is certainly ready to fight. I appreciate the silver painting for the blade. The black handles are, you know, they are the cast black plastic that we are used to, that we've seen multiple times already with this weaponry, but very neat. And there are our points with it were broken off of the mold. I can't think of what the term is for that right off the top of my head. I know, you know, it's like that thing that used to come with older figures where you wiggle and the thing pops off of it, or with models. If you know what the name of that is, please throw it in the comments. I would love to learn that. From you, if I can. And then back here on the back, that little bit of silver painted. Not perfect. You can see kind of closely, it's not exactly, almost seems like there's a line that was maybe supposed to still be black, but not enough to really be bothered about. And this looks like it's the 2 joined together, right? Which, if that is the intent, how cool would it have been if they had just had 1 and they did have them where they join together? Just because these look like, it really does look like it is supposed to be that, right? And tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm horribly off base, but it just looks like it, right? Because everything else matches up. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was a reason why they didn't do that. Maybe they tried it. Knowing the Classified Series line, they probably did try it over at Hasbro, but there just wasn't a feasible way that made sense to do it. But so there we go. Same deal, same paint job, same cast black plastic. They just are stuck together. All right, and I've got this paper, the little paper ties, so just to save time, we're going to go ahead and cut those and see if that does the trick, where I can get old Kamakura out of there. Kamakura. Okay, all right, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to cut right there, and I think that should do it. Yep, he is free. Now, one thing I'm going to throw out there, if you do cut from behind like that towards the cardboard, be very careful, especially if you have a sharper blade. It can easily go through, and it could nick the figure just a little bit. I unfortunately learned that the hard way, and I don't want anybody else to experience that. But you know what? That's why I have these little things, so that I can learn horribly, or you know, we can learn together as we go. But here he is. There's our hooded head, which, yeah, I mean, it just looks great. There's just the eyes. It's so very intimidating, and it really looks like they've got a bit of red in there, right? Do you see that? It seems like there's just an overall reddish hue. I mean, we've got some of it kind of spilling over on the side here, some of the flesh tone, but around the eyes and around in there, it definitely seems very reddish, which adds just an intensity, right? An anger, a fear to it, right? So that's very cool. The rest, I mean, it's just cast in that blue plastic with that little bit painted on it, and it's like a matte, and I do like it, right? It's very cool. I've always been a fan of like those. If there was a character that had those, right? Like Beachhead, Alley Vipers, Shockwave, you remember him? I would love to see him come back. All those were just really cool when they had that mask, right? So, and it's just so silly because there's less to be done because you don't have to sculpt a face, you just mask and eyes. But I was always a sucker for it. All right, let's check out some mobility here. So the neck is separate from the torso, but the side to side, it's okay. The neck tries to help out, but there's really not a lot going on there. But how about up and down? Up, it's okay, right? He does still look up compared to what straightforward would be, but I'm you know, it's not impressive. It's not that amazing. It is an upward look, but I feel like it could have been better. Down, pretty good. Now both of them, they pop back. So like if I push it down, I don't really have that extra hinge in there is what's happening, but this really wants to take over if I push too hard. So there we go. I mean, the down is pretty good. It will get up chin to chest. You just kind of gotta remind him that it is an option. And then of course we've got Exorcist rotation, so can't go without that. Butterfly joint for the shoulder, which helps with some pretty good mobility as far as it going backwards beyond the lateral with the back shoulder blades. And then we've got good rotation in the shoulder, and we also have that bicep tricep. With the rounded shoulder, there's not interference, even though there is a bit of muscular shape in there. And then we have a double elbow, which is pinless, so always cool to see that. All right, just because of that added bit of realism, if you want to say it. And it's like he's just trying to listen, right? But there we go, good flexibility on that. No forearm rotation, but we do have wrist rotation, and we've got, this is an up and down wrist, although not a whole lot of movement in it. It does move a little bit, but that's kind of common with the classifieds, right? So they do move, but not a whole lot always. And it's not really because the forearm is horribly getting in the way any more than it normally would. It's just there's not a lot of movement in that little hinge. And same capability on the other arm. And this one is also an up and down, right? Which makes sense, being sword holding hands. And it also comes with the classic. And then there's our Arashikage tattoo to show that he's part of the clan. All right, so, and we have this kind of U shape in the mid torso, right, for the lower under. Wow, look at that. That is some back flexibility. So he's not in good shape if you bend him that far back, but he is eligible to do that. He will. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 4.5 positions as far as forward and backward, and all of them very excellent. So even the forward is pretty good. Can't complain about that. Waist rotation, yeah, we do have that, so very good. And one thing that I'm happy about, right, so we can see the texture kind of go up, but it does stop right there. But we don't really have a lot of paint that has a potential rub off, right? So we've got the green, right? So a little bit of green coming down here, which, you know, this goes down, and that is our tie point for this to be attached onto that, which helps, you know, make sure that that belt stays centered. That's going to take a little bit of rubbing, twisting, but it does kind of help make sure that that stays in the position that it's supposed to. But it definitely wants to float around, and when it is in that position, it almost seems a little awkward because it's certainly off-centered and a little off-kilter, right? But it gives it a little bit of life and makes it a little bit more dynamic, so I'm there for it. But yeah. And then the legs, it looks like we've got the drop down, so we've got excellent split. Of course, he can actually go negative. I think an also requirement in the Arashikage, I believe Snake Eyes had that capability. So I do appreciate when the legs have that drop down. It's just an automatic bonus. And very well hidden seam for the upper thigh rotation, right? Aside from this line right there that gets separated, I honestly wasn't sure until I pulled on it whether it was going to do it. But I mean, now you can definitely see it, but it's fairly well hidden, I would say. Double knee with no pins, right? No visible pins. Excellent flexibility, so he is ready for the Arashikage 5K. He'll limber up for that. Hey, maybe even a marathon. And we've got upper boot, right? So masked by the top of the boot. We do have that calf rotation. And then the foot, wow, that back is fantastic. Look at that. Yeah. And then forward, also very good. And then, of course, he can snap it with his Ninja Turtle shoes. I mean, I know it's a ninja shoe, and I'm sure it has an actual proper name. Another thing I would love to learn, so throw it in the comments if you know it right offhand. Otherwise, I can certainly Google it, as always. So let's take a look at the paint. You know what I didn't check? Let's check the front kick. So very good, right? Forward, not too shabby. And it doesn't force it to kick out too far, right? So it can come forward with just a standard front kick, if you will. And it does go above the center. The back is decent, but of course, you know, it's going to kick outwards or, you know, just do that drop down, which does make it look a little bit weird when it does that. That's one of the downfalls of the drop down, is that backwards kick or backwards mobility. All right, so back to thinking about the paint. The green, it's okay, I would say. A little uneven right here on the deep V that we've got going on. The blue really kind of is covered up by some green right there, and a little bit sloppy along down the edges. But from a distance, right, this would be kind of uneven looking, so it doesn't really stand out too horribly unless you know what to look for. So I'm not upset about that. A little uneven right here on the bands at the bottom of the sleeves. I don't know if it's because it's folded up or if it's just part of it. You know what it's supposed to imply, but there's a little bit of unevenness there. I appreciate that the paint does go all the way around. And we've got this little bit on the side, a little uneven, little bit of excess that kind of came over right there onto the blue. But a lot of this is cast in that dark gray plastic or in a flesh tone. And then we have the brown painted on here, and the edge didn't quite make it around there. I do like the work on these plates here, right? So on the wrist and on the forearm, because they're painted, but it really does feel like they are cast in that gray plastic. So it's very well done, and certainly looks like it's metallic, right? They did a good job painting that. I do appreciate that. And then the good old tattoo has to be perfect. You can't mess that up. And then same thing with the knees and the shin guards here. And I like the texture that's sculpted into the boots here, so it's very cool. Would be neat to see something that just kind of made those little seams pop a little bit more. But yeah, all in all, pretty cool figure for the price. I'm going to throw it out there. It is pretty high in price, although I have seen it showing up like on sale on Amazon.com. So especially throughout the holiday period, if you're catching it at this point, definitely keep an eye open. You might see it drop, you might see it fluctuate, but I think it's a cool figure. If you're a big G.I. Joe fan like myself, definitely grab it, right? It's a good one. I just can't say for sure whether it is or is not worth the asking price for it. I will leave that up to you, but I'll tell you that you won't be disappointed in the figure itself. But we will be right back with some 360s. Thanks. Here is our Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series 6-inch scale Kamakura. Very kind of cool figure. I like it. And then, like I said, the price point. Be very mindful and decide for yourself. I think it's a great figure. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you think that the price point is fair. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hey everyone, we are currently running our Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway, where we are giving away one Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Serpentor with Air Chariot. All you have to do is comment on this video to be entered to win. Each video during the giveaway period will have a secret keyword shared within the video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Because the first person to comment that keyword gets pinned to the top of the comments and gets 2 entries for that video. A special thank you goes out to all of you for making it possible for us to be able to already start giving back. Well, that about does it. Thank you for checking us out and for joining on this collecting journey, as always. Look for at least 2 new videos each week, if not more. And if you got something from today's episode and you haven't already done so, please subscribe and click that like button. It would really help out the channel, and it would truly mean a lot to me personally. And if you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, as always, thank you for taking the time. And remember, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.